Hello, everybody. Thank you for taking the opportunity to watch this video. My name is Nathan Schwausch. I am the 11th and 12th grade hybrid college advisor here for Sinton High School. And in today's presentation, I'm going to talk you all through a little bit about our program, a little bit about the program that we serve Sinton High School through, and tell you a little bit about some of the resources that we have created for you to utilize throughout the college application or post-secondary planning process, and a little bit about how we can work together and what we can be working on throughout the rest of this semester going into your students' senior year. Here is a look at the agenda at what we'll be talking about. So first, I'm going to begin with an introduction to Hatch, which is the program that I'm a part of, that I serve Sinton High School through. I'll show you some of the resources that we have created, like I said, and then lastly, we'll finish by talking about what's on the horizon and what we can be working on throughout the rest of this school year and through the summer. So first, let me tell you all a little bit about the Hatch program. So Hatch stands for Hybrid Advising Texas College Horizons. And the important part I want to point out about our program is that we are a hybrid program. So what this means is that I serve the students and families of Sinton High School through a hybrid model. So most of my work is virtual. It's doing stuff like creating these videos, meeting with students and families via text, phone call, or even Zoom meeting. And then occasionally we will travel to the campus about once a month to hold in-class presentations during the school day, and also after-school workshops, such as the Junior Parent Information Night that I held earlier in February. So, like I said, we're unique in that we are a hybrid model. Most college advising models are fully in person with in-school advisors, but we're also unique in that we serve every single grade level, grades 9, 10, 11, and 12. Most college advising models focus purely on seniors, but the problem with that model is students are not getting access to information about college and career preparation process earlier in their high school career. So it just kind of happens where when they get to their senior year, they have not had as much exposure to this process. So a lot of times they can be confused and lost. So for example, these current juniors have been receiving instruction from one of our college advisors every year that they've been at Sinton High School. We also focus on a model of innovation and learning. We do a lot of stuff through trial and error. And that has been a big focal point of our program, is trying different models, trying different avenues for engaging students and families, and keeping what works and not keeping what doesn't work. We are very proud of the collaborative relationship that we share with Sinton High School. We work very closely alongside the guidance counselors, Miss Arredondo and Miss Alanese, and the Gear Up coordinator, Miss Ivy. And also for working with seniors, we work very closely with our Root Ed advisor, Miss Dotson. We work together to make sure that our goals are the same. We do have shared goals, and we work together to figure out what we can do to best serve the needs of students and parents. So we meet twice a month with our Sinton stakeholders to plan out our course of action and how we're going to support students. And I think that this has been very beneficial throughout the course of our program. One thing that we're very proud of with Hatch is we focus not only on college, we focus on what is the best fit for your students' post-secondary plans. That can look very different depending on each student. Some students may want to go to a four-year university. Some students may want to go to just a community college or a trade or technical school if they want to pursue a trade. Or some may be better suited for going into the military or even going straight to the workforce. We focus our meetings on the student. We want to make sure that we are addressing the student's needs and desires, and that we're helping find the best fit for that student's plans. We don't want to pigeonhole students into college if that doesn't necessarily fit their career aspirations, or if that's not the best fit for them. So we make sure that we meet the students where they are, so to speak, and that the plans that we determine for the students best fit their long-term career aspirations. Next, I want to show you a little bit about some of the resources that we've created for both you and your students to utilize throughout this process. First, we have created a website where we have a ton of different resources for students and parents to utilize. For example, as you can see on the screen, we post monthly scholarship newsletters on the website. These are a great resource for students and families to find different scholarships to apply for. We also have a link to our YouTube channel, which I'll talk about in just a minute. And we have information about how to complete the FAFSA, how to complete the college application process, how to create a resume to be used for either college admissions or even if you're planning on going to the workforce. So this has about everything that you could possibly need for the college or post-secondary planning process. And if you notice here, we do have a parents tab where we have information specifically for parents. And right next to that, you'll also see that we have a newsletter archive. Each month, we try to send out a monthly newsletter to students and parents outlining what is important information to know for the current month with regards to the college application process, the post-secondary planning process. If you do not receive those newsletters, please send me an email or send me a message, and I will make sure that your email is added to that list. And we also can access those newsletters through the newsletter archive section of our website, which is right to the right of the Parents tab. As I mentioned last slide, we do have a YouTube channel where we post all kinds of different webinars related to college application and post-secondary planning process. We try to divide the webinar videos into different categories on different playlists so that you can easily find the video that you need to watch. For example, there we have a financial aid playlist where we have recorded different videos over the financial aid and FAFSA process, walking you through how to submit a FAFSA, how to create an FSA ID, preparation and resources. This is where we have videos about college list building, creating resumes, and so on and so forth. We even have videos under the college rep visits and virtual tours where we have sat down and interviewed college admissions representatives from different institutions, and we ask them questions about their specific institution. So we have representatives from UT San Antonio and the University of Houston, Houston Baptist, just a few that I can think of off the top of my head, that we've sat down and interviewed, and they have told us all about their school and answered a lot of frequently asked questions about their school. We have some videos where we introduce ourselves, meet the college advising core advisors, and lastly, there are some videos where we walk through the college application process, and that's also where we have a video about how to write college essays. So if any of those sound like ones that you would like to watch, please visit our YouTube channel. And also keep an eye out for additional videos that we may post throughout the future. You can go ahead and click subscribe over there when you go to our YouTube channel as well, and you can be notified of when we post new videos as well. My calendar is available at calendly.com/nschwausch. This is where you can schedule times to meet with me. I have a lot of different times available for parent meetings. Typically, these meetings can be held either through phone call or Zoom video chat. To reach these availabilities, you would just click on parent meeting. It would pop up some dates that I'm available. You could click on the date, find the time that works for you, and you just register for the meeting. If none of the times that you have posted or that you have seen on there work with your schedule, please send me a message and I'll be more than happy to find a time that works with both of our schedules to accommodate a meeting with you. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about how we can be preparing for your students' senior year. first, it's important that if your student is planning on going to college, we work right now to build a strong college list of schools that the student may be interested in applying to. The reason for this is I always tell students, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. It's important to give yourself options. A lot of students tell themselves, you know, I want to go to UT Austin. That's my top choice school. That's the only school I'm going to apply to. Well, that's great. Pick them. But you have to keep in mind what happens if, say, you're either not accepted to UT Austin or you're accepted, but it's a lot more expensive than you initially thought it would be. A lot of students that put all their eggs in that one basket and they're either not accepted or it's too expensive find themselves scrambling for backup plans. This is why it's important to apply to multiple colleges. We typically break this list down into different categories where there's 3 reaches or dream schools, which would be a student's dream come true if they were accepted to that school. That could be school that be their dream to go to: UT Austin, Texas A&M, Rice, Harvard, etc. 2 targets, which are kind of schools that the student would definitely be accepted to. And those could be not necessarily a dream school, but not necessarily like a safety net school. And then lastly, we encourage students to apply to at least one safety school. And that could be a school where all else fails, if some family emergency happens and the student needs to stay close to home, they could go to that school. So that could be a school like a Del Mar College, Coastal Bend College, or Victoria Community College, a community college basically that the student can use as a fallback plan. And the benefit to applying to multiple schools is, A, you're giving yourself alternatives if you're not accepted to your first choice school. But also, you may have a first choice school that does not offer as much financial aid as you had initially hoped. But then when you apply to some other schools, they may offer considerably higher amounts of financial aid, to the point where, while one school may have initially been your first choice school, it's considerably less expensive to go to one of the other schools that you applied to because they offered you more scholarships and more financial aid. So that's why it's important to give yourself multiple options. Next, it's important that students work to maintain their grades and do the best they can to finish strong this semester of their junior year. Reason being is different universities have different admissions requirements. In the state of Texas, we have the top 10% rule, where students who are in the top 10% of their graduating class are automatically accepted into any public university, with the exception of UT Austin. UT Austin will only automatically accept top 6%. Now, when colleges are considering students' applications for admission, they're going to be looking at the students' grades from first semester of their freshman year all the way through the end of their junior year. So it's important that we work hard to finish as strongly as possible. Now, one thing to keep in mind is if a student does not meet the automatic admission criteria based on class rank, there are still alternative pathways for admission. If a student is not automatically admitted, that does not mean they're automatically declined admission. Those students will then enter the holistic review process, where the college will consider all facets of their application. So their grades, their test scores if they took the SAT or ACT, the extracurricular activities they were involved in, the essays, the content of the essays that the student writes for admission. So that's why it's important to make sure that you're listing everything that you have been involved in high school, that you work hard to write the best essays possible, and that you work hard to score as highly as possible on the SAT or ACT. I'll talk about that in just a minute. Also, one thing that's important to note is some colleges offer admissions beyond the top 10% requirement. So for example, this is an example from Texas State that I have on the screen. UTSA, I stand corrected. That's UTSA. They automatically accept top 25% of your graduating class. So if you're in the top 25%, you could be automatically accepted to a school like UTSA. I believe Texas A&M Corpus Christi may also have top 25% automatic admissions. Some schools will also automatically accept students if they meet certain class rank criteria. along with minimum scores on the SAT or ACT. So for example, with this chart here, you'll see that the second 25%, so if you're in the top 26% through 50% of your class, you can be automatically accepted if you score a minimum of an 1170 on the new SAT or 24 on the ACT. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about test scores and the SAT and ACT. So the SAT and ACT are no longer required for admissions, but they are still optional for admissions. Now, what that means is students are not required to take it, but it can definitely come in very handy for a student's application if they do take the SAT or ACT. The reason being is, like I was saying last slide, if a student does not meet automatic admission criteria, the test scores would still be something that the universities would consider through the holistic review process. Furthermore, if a student is accepted to a university, that does not necessarily mean that the student will be accepted into the first major of their choice. So a student could be accepted to a school like UT Austin, but denied admission to the School of Engineering or Business or some of these competitive majors. So taking the test can help with the holistic review process for certain majors. That can give a student a leg up on students who did not take the SAT or ACT. And lastly, some schools will consider SAT and ACT scores for scholarship opportunities, and also some private scholarships will require students to have taken the SAT or ACT. So it's still very beneficial for students to take these exams. The next point I want to talk about is it's really important to take time to practice for these tests. So I'm a big sports fan. The analogy I always use is if you play sports, if you play football, you don't just show up on Friday night to play the opposing team without watching any film on the opposing team or without practicing your own plays, without practicing at all before you play that other team. The same theory applies for the tests. You don't want to walk in totally blind, not knowing what kind of questions are going to be on the test and what kind of concepts you need to be familiar with before you take the test. Khan Academy is a great free resource and interactive resource that students can use to practice for the SAT. They have SAT questions of the day, they have learning modules, and they even have full-length practice tests. Now, I know a lot of students may not necessarily have the time to sit down and take the full 3+ hour practice test for the SAT, but I think it is really beneficial if you can find the time to take the practice SAT, because this helps students figure out how to pace themselves, how much time to allot to each section. Because a lot of students I talk to say that they struggle with the time of the test, that they always end up running out of time without answering all of the questions. So taking the practice test will help students learn how to pace themselves and how to make sure that they have allotted enough time to each section. And studies do show that students who practice for the SAT using Khan Academy score significantly higher than students who do not practice for the SAT. So you can look at it as an investment in your future. So for example, if you practice for the SAT and you score 100 points higher on the SAT because you practiced, and that helps you receive a scholarship opportunity that can help you offset some of the cost of attendance, then look at it as that you earned, say, $10,000 extra just by practicing for the SAT. So hard work and practice does pay off. Kaplan offers free ACT practice with a lot of the same resources as Khan Academy, but it's geared towards the ACT. Now, a lot of students and families ask me what's the difference between the SAT and ACT, and or do colleges prefer one over the other? And the answer is that colleges do not necessarily have a preference of one over the other. The big difference is that the ACT has a science section, whereas the SAT does not have a science section. So if a student is particularly strong in science, it may be worth their time to take the ACT, or students can take both the SAT and the ACT, and whichever score they felt more comfortable with, whichever score that when they scored higher on, they can take that test a second time, because the second time students take the test, they typically are a little more comfortable in the process. They've been through the process before, they know what the test environment is like, so they may score a little higher the second time they take that test. One thing to save the date for Sinton High School students, we are offering the in-school SAT on March the 2nd. So please make sure that you are aware of that you are taking time to practice for that, because that is a phenomenal opportunity for students to take the test during the school day. A lot of high schools do not have that opportunity for students. So those students would have to register for the test on a Saturday during one of the national test dates, and those registrations can cost $65 at least. So please take advantage of this opportunity to take it during the school day, and make sure that you spend time practicing ahead of time. So I know this is one of the parts that a lot of students and families have questions over, because all we hear is how expensive college is and how there's a student debt crisis. So everyone wants to know, how can I make college more affordable? So there are different types of financial aid you can receive to help finance your education, make it more affordable for you. First is scholarships. So scholarships are free money that are awarded by different entities to help students pay for college. This is free money that the student does not have to pay back. So scholarships can come from local organizations, such as, say, High School Booster Club, Band Booster Club, Rotary Club, Lions Club, local law offices or organizations may offer scholarships. There's organizational scholarships also, which are offered by big organizations, like you may hear about the Taco Bell Scholarship or the Burger King Scholarship. These are large national organizations that offer scholarships for students. It also may be worth checking with employers to see if, say, maybe one of your parents' employers offers scholarships for students who are attending college. And lastly, there are institutional scholarships, which are scholarships that are awarded by the institutions or colleges or universities themselves. Now, this is one thing to keep in mind when you're completing the college application process. Some colleges will automatically consider applicants for scholarships just by submitting the college application on Apply Texas. Other colleges require students to submit separate applications to be considered for scholarships. So make sure that you check with the college that you're applying to in order to see what you need to do to be considered for scholarships at that university. Next, there are grants, which are free money that is awarded to the student from the federal government, the state government, or even the institutions themselves. These are money that is granted to the student, so to speak. There's no requirements for the student to pay back this money. This is typically received through completing the financial aid application known as the FAFSA, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. And lastly, there are loans. These are not everybody's favorite, but for a lot of students, these can be a great investment in their future. So by completing the FAFSA, you're automatically eligible for subsidized loans and unsubsidized loans. And the difference between these is subsidized loans do not begin accruing interest until 6 months after the student either graduates college or leaves college, whereas unsubsidized loans begin accruing interest immediately. Now, if you're going to take out loans to help pay for college, we do strongly recommend that you utilize the federal student loans. These typically have much more favorable interest rates and repayment options compared to private loans that students can access. So if you're going to take out federal student loans, or if you're going to take out loans, please do federal student loans, not private loans. So in order to maximize your financial aid opportunities, we recommend students complete the free application for federal student aid. You'll commonly hear it referred to as the FAFSA, as soon as it opens. And it's going to open on October 1st of your senior year. So in order to complete this, you'll need prior year tax returns. So for the 2023 FAFSA, it'll be the 2021 tax returns. So make sure that you keep that information handy when you're finishing your taxes, because you'll need it when you complete your FAFSA. And even if you're not sure if you want to go to college, we highly recommend that you complete the FAFSA because a lot of the financial aid is on a first come, first served basis. And if you decide late in your senior year, if you decide in April, May, or June that you want to actually go to college, a lot of the financial aid may not be available to you by that time. So the earlier you can submit your FAFSA, the better and the more money that you can receive for financing your education. And also important to note that it is now a graduation requirement in the state of Texas. So any student who is planning on graduating high school will need to complete their FAFSA as well. Lastly, it's important that students work on developing a resume. This is important for students who are planning to go to college because it helps highlight the activities that you've been involved in. And this can be really beneficial for scholarship consideration and a holistic review consideration. But it's also important for you to know how to create a resume for your life after college, for entering the workforce. It's also important for students who are not interested in going to college right now, because you're going to need a resume no matter what you do. You're going to need a resume if you're going to find work after high school. Most jobs are going to require a resume. So it's important practice to know how to create a resume. And also is an important opportunity for you to highlight your accomplishments and highlight what you've been involved in throughout high school and what makes you the most unique candidate for certain employment opportunities. So how can we all be preparing now for senior year and for the college application process? So make sure that you are as involved as possible in different opportunities. That can be clubs or organizations or playing sports, but that can also even include volunteer work, community service work. These are great opportunities for you to be involved and show that you do more than just go to school, take classes, and go to bed and wake up and do it all over again. And it's important that you keep track of your hours too, because when you are applying to colleges, you're going to be asked to list how many hours you've been involved in each activity, and how many weeks you've been involved in each activity per month, per year. So if you can work on compiling your hours now, whether that's just jotting it down on a piece of paper, making a note on your iPhone, or creating an in-depth Excel spreadsheet, it'll make your life a lot easier when you go to complete your college applications, because that's one of the areas where I see students struggle the most with their applications, is when they get to that section and it asks them to input all their hours. A lot of students can get caught off guard, and because they don't remember how many hours they are involved in band their freshman year. So if you compile these hours now, when you get to this part on the college applications, you just copy it over immediately. Next, work on building a college list. Like I said, we recommend students build a list of at least 6 different schools so that they give themselves options. And in order to build the college list, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. It's important that you find opportunities to get on that college campus. A lot of students may think that a certain school is the best fit for them. They may not feel as strongly about another school, but it's hard to tell for sure unless you actually set foot on that college campus. It sounds kind of cliche, but I know a lot of students who didn't feel one way or another about a certain school, but then when they set foot on campus, they just were filled with joy and felt like, well, this is the best school for me. I love this. I could definitely see myself spending the next 4 years of my life here. So it can really be an eye-opening experience to set foot on a college campus. And I know a lot of schools do offer excused absences for students to go visit college campuses during the school day. But if you're not able to make it during the school day, please keep in mind there are a lot of schools that offer weekend open house events for students to come see the campus, such as UT has Explore UT, A&M has Aggieland Saturday. A lot of schools have these weekend events. And what they also incorporate into these weekend events is each college will typically make their professors available for students to talk to. So if you know that you're interested in studying music, you can go talk to some of the music professors about what you need to do to prepare for the admissions process and what their classes are like. So that can really help students determine if the program that they're interested in would be the best fit for them, or if they should consider that program at a different school. If you're not comfortable going to a college campus in person, a lot of schools now offer virtual college tours. So while it's not necessarily the same experience as physically setting foot on campus, you can still get a feel for the campus vibe and what the campus looks like and feels like through a virtual tour. So please consider those opportunities as well. And the same concept also applies for potential career opportunities as well. A lot of students may feel a certain way about a certain job, like students may say, oh, I want to be a vet or a vet tech, or I want to be a nurse. But it really helps to have those opportunities to experience that work firsthand. You know, if you can find an opportunity to go intern or shadow at a vet clinic or a law office or somewhere in the health field, this can help students determine whether they are the best fit for that kind of work, or learn what goes in, what's the average day like of being a vet or a lawyer or a nurse. So reach out to local offices that you may be interested in doing that kind of work in the future, and just explain, hey, I'm a high school student, I'm interested in your line of work. Would I be able to shadow or intern here for a couple days to get a feel for it? And this is something you can also include on a resume too, that would really be beneficial for your involvement as well. And lastly, if you plan on taking the SAT or ACT, please take time practicing for those tests, because even though they are optional, they provide a unique opportunity for you to be eligible for different scholarships, and also can be very beneficial for the holistic review process as well. All right, I know I covered a lot of different information in this presentation, but if you have any questions, please feel free to either schedule a meeting with me at my calendar link. You can shoot me an email at nschwausch@advisingcorps.org. You can also send me a text or call me at 512-609-0074. Also, we do have various social media accounts where we post updates about new videos that we've posted on YouTube, or new events that we have scheduled for the high school, or for even just upcoming deadlines. So you can scan the QR code there, or you can follow the link there on your screen, and you can access my calendar. You can access our website, our YouTube channel, and various social medias. So please take advantage of this opportunity as well to keep in touch and find out what is the latest in the world of post-secondary access and college and career planning. I look forward to hearing from you soon, and I hope you all enjoyed this presentation. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can be updated when we post new videos. Thank you.